What is black culture? How do we define it?
Let me tell you something. I owe you nothing.
Does the media or the entertainers tell us who we are? Is it the political commentator's job to tell us who we are? Or do we ourselves have a role to play in today's modern culture? Join me and my distinguished guests as we discuss these and other serious questions in our new segment, What is Black Culture? Be sure to subscribe and follow on all platforms, The Micah Dobbins Show, so that you won't miss a single episode. What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Micah Dobbins, host of The Micah Dobbins Show, powered by Judah TV. And by now, you've probably seen the trailer, What is Black Culture? And I wanted to go ahead and kind of dive into this subject. And I'll be continuing to do other videos talking about this, sharing this, and just kind of putting out my thoughts on this subject, as well as some thoughts from others that I have come on the show as guests. So what is black culture? We're not a monolithic group. There are so many different things that make up black culture, and there are many things that people have attributed to black culture that I feel like aren't truly part of who we are.
What a punk. What a fool. Mark.
And what I mean by that, you can go back as far as, some of the earlier pictures in the films. Even when they made like the first Birth of a Nation, they tried to show black people in such a way that were making them terrifying or like something menacing to white America. So I felt like, one, that was a misrepresentation of black culture, wanting to just chase after and assault women and all these things. So you fast forward that and you look at some of the cartoons that may have come out, even some of the earlier works of like Walt Disney and different things, or how, they tried to play this little, hey, these lazy black guys don't want to work. They're just laying around, and the women, they're just sitting here taking care of all these little children. It's in various cartoons. I don't care if you go back to watching some of the old Tom and Jerry.
No, ma'am. I ain't seen no cat around here. There ain't no cat, no place, no house. You're pale,
Episodes and cartoons, and you're looking at, some of the other things that they've continued to kind of make the laughing stock, the joke, the brunt of the joke. So I just really was thinking about it one day as I watched various television programs, different types of movies, different type of shows, that this is what they're selling globally, that black culture represents. And I find it to be quite offensive in some cases.
Ain't nobody got time
Just being
for that.
frank with you, tired of it. For instance, I know plenty of black men that actually married, have children with their wives, raising children. I know black fathers that are single because the mothers left and didn't want the children, and they raised their children. At least 3 come to mind right off the top of my head. So when you hear these kind of things being spewed and put out, or you're seeing this kind of entertainment being put out, as one that is a positive force in the community, you can't help but to get upset and want to speak out about it. I came up in an era where, respect was not only something taught, but it was expected as a young person. I wasn't quite as old as the generation that, hey, You know, you go out, you represent all of us. But you kind of had that mindset from the parents who grew up in that generation that when you go out, how you conduct yourself matters. Now, don't get me wrong. I was a knucklehead at one point as a youth. I ran out, you know, was doing hip hop, battle rapping and running in the streets and acting a fool with my homies like anybody else would do. But there was certain levels, there was certain things that I wouldn't do because of my upbringing or because of my sense of who we are as a people. And even coming into the faith and being a Christian, there are still faith-based movies and things that kind of have these cartoonish type outlandish characters to represent the black community. And it's just like, we don't even talk like that. We don't even act like that. Like, who decided that this was going to be acceptable to put out for the masses? And I can't help but feel that way in a lot of the programming we watch.
Do you see what you left me for? This is what you left me for. I was your wife. I loved you. I never would have hurt you. Why did you do this to me?
You know, I understand it sells, it makes money, it's entertainment. But if we're really just being frank and beans and being real about it, it is a sad day when just about every movie, the man is like the super villain. Like, he leaves the woman, he's running around cheating on her, if he's not beating on her, or he's the ex-con in and out of prison, or, you know, all this goofy stuff, instead of actually showing the multifaceted different ways that black culture has even influenced our society, or black men have and women have conducted themselves in times past. You know, we look at some of the movies and the shows that are out now and seeing how they purposely misrepresent the things that we take pride in, the things we care about. Now, don't get me wrong. The media is not the only one to blame here. Society plays a part too, because there are those who do want to keep those stereotypes and keep the kind of foolishness going. There are those that take pride in making a mockery of our ancestors. Those who take pride in conducting themselves ignorantly. You know, like, it's fun. Like, you know, this is the new big thing. So I wanted to do a series about it. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to have meaningful discussions, maybe even ask some of the people why they conduct themselves the way they do. For their entertainment purposes or whatever they want to call it. So this is why, the mind behind what is black culture. When I was doing my show before on the radio station, and then we went to a television market for a while before I went completely independent, we would talk about some of the great things that were accomplished in the African American community. You know, we would talk about, you know, the Battle of Bamber Bridge even, or, you know, the Green Book, things that were historically necessary for the survival of the people. We would talk about how, you know, different ones may have invented things or done things that were great. And even up to modern day, you know, I find myself, even when I do like positive speaking or any kind of, you know, talking to the youth, that I bring up, you know, men like Lonnie Johnson. It's like, hey, you know, this guy invented the Super Soaker, worked at NASA, had the JTEC, had his own battery that could strong enough to power an entire city the size of the heel of a boot. 2 laboratories here in Atlanta, Georgia, just kind of sharing some things that go outside of the narrative. Everybody isn't, you know, an entertainer, a ball player. You have some wonderful business owners. You have some wonderful authors of books or other things that have contributed to society or have represented black culture in a positive light. And I wish that that would be upheld a little more. I wish that more people would share their stories. Even as I did this platform, I got to be honest with y'all. If I put some foolishness up, it'll get way more views. Who are we kidding here? When we put foolishness on display, it seems that the people love the folly. They react to it. But if you put something meaningful, if you put something from the heart, or something that would try to make society a better place, or, you know, even to help those that are minorities, you know, that kind of stuff is kind of cast to the side. I don't know if it's just algorithms or what, but it appears that if I did a whole channel full of school fights, I'd be number one with a bullet right now. If I did a channel with a lot of gossip about who's sleeping with who and who's stealing who man and girlfriend, all that crazy stuff, oh, we'd be number one with a bullet right now. But the fact that we're actually trying to push against those narratives and stereotypes, and we're trying to kind of change the conversation a little bit, help our young people to realize financial literacy is real and they should partake in it. All of you aren't going to be rappers and NBA stars and ballers. Some of you need to go get a degree, work in HVAC, or go get a certificate, or go work as a realtor, or, work in banking or something. Noble professions that will help you get the bag, secure the bag, keep the bag, but may not be as quote unquote sexy and fly as being the next big artist or whatever. These kind of things need to kind of be pushed and shared. And this was one of the great tragedies when everything happened with, Bill Cosby and everything, when all that story broke out, because for the longest, you had here a strong family, a nuclear family, a husband and a wife. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, all the children raised up in that household, promoting colleges and HBCUs and all those great things, and, wanting to make a difference and an impact. I grew up seeing that, and like Sidney Poitier and a lot of these actors that were very eloquent. My mother would have me watch films, with Cab Calloway and other greats, or we would watch like Lena Horne and some of those other actors and actresses from that era, and just longing to see our people get back to that. When we listen to the vocabulary and the way many spoke during the civil rights struggle, whether it was James Baldwin, or whether you're listening to Malcolm X, or whether you're listening, to Fred Hampton, or any of these men, you realize there was a conviction there. Huey Newton, all these people would speak out with such a way with words, and it wasn't about trying to, hey, Jive Turkey, you need to give us our rights right now, my brother. What's going on? And all that crazy stuff that we see being pushed now. And it's not so much as, wanting to emulate other cultures, because there's no monopoly on proper speaking. There's no monopoly on that. If you speak proper English, you just speak proper English. You're not talking white. You're not talking, if I start talking the accent, I'm talking Asian. Like, come on, like at some point we have to break away from those narratives and that kind of ignorance and let people live. Let people be who they are. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people can't help if all they've known is, being brought up in hood culture. That's all you saw. I get it. I've run with it, so I'm not gonna act as if I've never, seen homies that grew up in those environments, and that's just how they get down. I understand that. But I'm talking about people who purposely push this narrative, that purposely put it before us, that tried to hold it up before all as if this is the best that your culture has to offer. I refuse to accept that. I refuse to settle for that. I think much, much, much more needs to be seen, shared, and done. So I just wanted to kind of give you the heart behind what is Black culture, why I want to have this discussion, why it's important to me. And I hope you guys can hear the heart behind it. I am one that feels like, I look at politics often, and I was one of those that was like, oh, here we go again, when I see them drag at Meg Thee Stallion in Atlanta for Kamala Harris and them coming out here. No different than I would be looking crazy, if Trump came out and said, oh, we bringing out Little John and Waka Flocka. I'd be like, man, come on, bro. Like, y'all don't have anybody else. There's nobody else that you can get that could draw young people that has a better message than some of that. And it's insulting. It's insulting to a certain degree. Now, some love it. Don't get me wrong. There are some that relish in it, and they're mad at me for even speaking against it. And, oh, there y'all go. But no. Seriously, people. When I was a child, I thought as a child, I spake as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. It's time to put away childish things, foolishness. And it's time for us to have some mature discussions with intellect about some of these things. So this is why I want to talk about what is Black culture, because there are many different facets and the world is watching, and nothing is more tragic than to go on YouTube or go on the internet and see some of these other nations, some of the other countries in Africa, and they're talking about, Black people, all they do is, this, or watching some of these other nations that, don't have a clue about America, pass judgment on a whole race of people based upon Hollywood depictions of characters that aren't even realistic in real life. at least not on everyday level in everybody's life. But I did want to address that. So sorry if I ranted a little long on that one, but I wanted to kind of let my voice be heard on why we're doing What is Black Culture. And I plan to continue that because there's more than gang culture, is more than just hip hop and the things we've seen. Black culture runs very deep, and there are many things that we've attributed to society that I would like to be brought to the forefront. So if you guys would like to join me in this, you can go ahead and leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe, help get the word out. But we will be continuing and moving forward with that series, regardless if people are happy about it or not. I'm excited to have the conversation and excited about upcoming guests for that conversation. This is Micah signing off.